Everyone tells writers, write what you know, but no one really tells us how to write what we don't know. Of all the writing advice out there, writing what you know has to be one of the most misinterpreted phrases. When given the advice to write what we know, we rarely ever think beyond our own experiences, putting a limitation not just on the worlds we allow ourselves to imagine, but who we include in our portrayal of cast of characters who may not share our identity or our culture. Writing what we know isn't directing us to stay in our own lane. It's asking us to expand our imaginative empathy, to shape our stories, not just through the lens of our own lived experiences, but to take on the responsibility of acquiring the knowledge we need on the elements we want to use to bring our stories to life. Writing what you know is simply taking up the responsibility to understand the culture, themes, and identities that you have chosen to inspire and enrich your story. And today, I'm gonna walk you through a step-by-step process that you can use to create inspired works of fiction with respect and integrity. Let's start with understanding culture and identity within storytelling. Before we jump into the step-by-step guide, it's important to understand what culture and identity is and why they are essential ingredients in every good storytelling. Culture is the architect of how people build their lives. It's our ideals about time, family, love, success, shame, and even more. It's how we handle things like trust or the things that we collectively value. These tenets of culture can be expressed through things like food, clothing, and rituals, and even stories, legends, and myths that get passed down from one generation to another. But it's important to note that while every culture have elements that might be easily identifiable, the people who exist within those cultures are not always the same. The people who exist within each culture all have their own identities. A great example of this is that not all children love vegetables, not all women love shopping, and not all men like sports. When we pair culture and identity together, they become the logic behind your character's choices. They become the lens through which your character sees and shapes the world around them. Cultural context makes the emotionality of your story make sense. Specific elements, themes, and practices of those cultures is what will create depth and conflict that will drive your plot forward in a way that your readers can connect to. Now that we have a broad overview of culture and identity, let's talk about the creative research process. The creative research process has to be one of the most exciting parts about being a writer. This is when you get to get out of the house and into the story. As more and more aspiring creative people start to turn to things like generative AI, I want to be so clear when I say that this part of the process cannot be distilled into a single prompt. There are no shortcuts when it comes to the deeply human process of seeing the world from someone else's perspective and trying to represent them and their entire community well. To be a writer is to be in the business of empathy. And if you're watching this video, it's because you feel that on some level. You want to tell stories that are not just as diverse as the non-fictional world on the surface, but deeply felt and forever remembered by your readers. And one of the most tried and true ways to expand writing what we know is by doing creative research. When you first step out of your comfort zone to write from a perspective that you may not have lived experience with, it can be a little intimidating to know just where to start. For each step in the guide, I'll be giving you a list of tools you can use for your research, creative check-in questions to guide you, and tips on how you can vet those resources. Let's dive in. Step 1, let the story lead the questions. A good way to begin this process is to let your story simply lead the questions. When you're at this part of the process, you'll be gathering very broad information about the topics that have inspired you. Now, it can be very tempting to try to build your story around that single seed of inspiration, but when we lead with trying to represent what we don't know, what we can end up with is stereotypical caricatures, tokenization, and misrepresentation. For many readers, the way that you represent a culture could be the first experience they have with its people. And even if your story is filled with magical mermaids or fire-breathing dragons, that impression will impact how these cultures are perceived and treated in real life. When we characterize an entire people by harmful stereotypes, we increase the widespread harm they will encounter outside of the fictional depiction of them, because diversity is not a decoration or a selling point for any story. It is an honest reflection of the world that we live in and the people in it. This first phase is the perfect time to start thinking about the diverse world that you want to build. And you'll know that you're doing this right when you're not adding in diverse elements and characters as an afterthought. So instead of adding a BIPOC character or adding a queer identity character who will serve no other purpose but to be diverse in your story, ask yourself, what does my story need? This is how you let the story lead the questions. Now, if that character with a diverse identity couldn't easily become the main protagonist of your story with as much depth as your current protagonist, this might be a clear sign that you're headed in the wrong direction. Starting any story with the mindset of having those diverse themes as a backdrop to the story you're trying to tell to appeal to a wider audience is what we call checking a box. And while readers outside of those cultures and communities may not be able to see the lack of effort, investment, and care that has gone into those characters and elements, it can be glaringly obvious to those of us within those lived experiences. So instead of looking at your story and saying, you know what would be cool? Chinese dragons. Ask yourself if those elements authentically fit with the story you're trying to tell, your characters' arcs, and the overarching theme of your story. You want to immerse readers in a book that feels believable. So give them one with emotional truths that feel as three-dimensional as the world we live in every day. And this is not just a good practice for representation, it's just good writing. So here are some guiding questions that's going to help you lead with your story. What is the core conflict of your story? What themes are you exploring? What setting would best serve the narrative? And lastly, what character would face the most meaningful obstacles in this situation? Only after you have established these fundamental parts of your story should you begin asking, what cultural context would make my character's journey more authentic and more compelling? And since this is the beginning stage, your research is going to be very minimal. Here are some research tools that you can create for this stage: story structure guides and plot frameworks, character development worksheets, and you can also do some theme exploration exercises. And that brings us to step 2, building your foundational knowledge. Now that you know what your story needs, it's time to build a solid foundation of understanding about the culture or identity you want to explore. And the good news is you don't have to become an expert overnight. This part is about developing a foundational knowledge to ask better and more specific questions. Start with credible overview sources, academic articles and scholarly databases, cultural institutions and official websites, documentaries by filmmakers of that culture or identity, and books written by authors from that background. And here are some check-in questions you can ask yourself at this stage. What are the core values and worldviews of this culture? How do historical events still influence this community today? What are common misconceptions outsiders have about this culture or identity? And what aspects about this culture or identity are often oversimplified or stereotyped in media? And here's a vetting tip. Look for sources from people within the culture, not just academic observers from outside of it. Step 3, seek primary sources and lived experiences. This is where your research becomes truly valuable. Primary resources like firsthand accounts, interviews, memoirs, and direct conversations will give you the nuanced understanding you need. You can use primary research tools like oral history projects and archives, memoirs and autobiographies, interview podcasts by people of that culture or identity. There's also community forums and discussion pages, and even social media accounts and blogs by community members. Whenever possible, and if appropriate, you might be able to attend cultural events open to the public. Or you can visit museums or cultural centers, and if you want to be a little bit more hands-on, why not take a class or a workshop? Here are your check-in questions for this part of the process. How do people within this community express their identities differently? What internal conflicts or debates exist within the community? How do people of this culture or identity describe their own experiences? What aspects of this culture or identity do they feel are most misunderstood? When vetting your resources at this stage, it's important to seek diverse voices within the culture. Avoid relying on one person's perspective as representative of an entire group. It's also really important that you vary your resources because no culture is a monolith. meaning that one person's experience within a culture may not always mirror another. If you have friends and colleagues of those cultures and identities, they can be a great resource for this. But it's critical to the integrity of your feedback that you seek voices outside of the sphere of your influence. This will help you pressure test any internalized biases or misunderstandings you may have about the culture you feel inspired by. And when you find people willing to lend you the perspective of their lived experiences, be sure to compensate them for their time and acknowledge their efforts. A great way to do this is monetarily or in the acknowledgments of your book. And this brings us to step 4. Connecting with community members respectfully. When done thoughtfully, connecting with the people from the culture you're writing about can provide invaluable insights. But this step requires thoughtful consideration about boundaries and reciprocity. Not everyone will be open and willing to sharing their lived experiences, and we must respect that no matter the reason. The key is not to internalize the rejection of one person as an attack on your creative endeavors. Instead, see it as an invitation to revisit your approach. Ask yourself, were you transparent about your project and your intentions? Did you offer them something in return for their time and lived experiences? This could have been things like sharing your platform, donating to a relevant cause, or simply just showing a genuine interest in their work. You can also ask, am I approaching with humility and genuine respect? Am I prepared to change my story if my research reveals that it could be harmful? And lastly, am I centering my own comfort or the dignity of the community that I'm writing about? Don't be intimidated to ask for guidance on your approach from the people closest to you, and then work your way out of your circle of comfort. But always remember, no matter how politely or kindly we ask, no is a complete statement. Respect if someone says no or doesn't respond. There are billions of people on the planet from all walks of life. And with things like discussion forums and social media, you can always put out warm leads. So be patient with this part of the process. Because when those glowing reviews come in about how you did the work and you made people feel seen and represented well, you will be glad that you did. And when those yeses start to roll in, here are a list of questions you can ask. What would you want to see in authentic representation of your culture? What are red flags that signal that someone hasn't done their research properly? And lastly, are there any cultural consultants or sensitivity readers that you would recommend? And lastly, step 5, writing with accountability. The final step isn't really a step, it's more of a commitment to accountability throughout your entire writing career. Here are some accountability practices to get you started on keeping that commitment. Work with sensitivity readers from relevant communities that you are trying to represent. Join writer groups focused on diverse and inclusive storytelling. Stay open to feedback and be prepared to revise significantly. And always consider how your story contributes to existing narratives about the cultures and identities that have inspired your story. And as a final check-in, you can ask these questions. Does my story rely on stereotypes, even positive ones? Am I giving my characters full humanity, including flaws and complexity? Would someone from this culture feel seen and respected by my portrayal? And lastly, am I prepared to handle criticism gracefully if I've gotten something wrong? So in conclusion, writing what you know doesn't mean staying in your own lane. It's about expanding your lane through dedicated, respectful research and genuine engagement with the communities that have inspired your work. And the goal here isn't perfection. It's about approaching cultures and identities with the same depth, humanity, and respect that you would want someone to bring to writing about your own background. When we take on the responsibility of learning what we don't know, we don't just become better writers, we become more empathetic people. And our stories can become bridges that connect instead of walls that divide. So remember, stories don't just entertain. They honor the complexity of the human experience and all of its beautiful diversity. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe and let us know down in the comment section, what are some questions you have about representing cultures? Or share your best tips on writing what you know. See you next time.